Hello, this is episode 10 of my I'm a Secret Roottrees playthrough. Getting a cheeky little recording sesh in today. I really hope that we discover another bombshell of a fucking clue, because we are back at it trying to figure out these last few individuals. And I feel like the big one is trying to figure out season 4's children, and then breaking ground somewhere in the Elias Roottrees infidelity branch, because we still don't really have a good idea as to what's happening here. I'm out of pictures, literally none. I'm out of names, and I am out pretty much of evidence. The last thing that I have is 2 pieces of information somewhere inside of here, and my assumption is that it's Green Schwartz and Beatrice Waltz, because of the bit of information that we got from the Piketty publication, which I am now less salty about, having had a nap since I'm a cranky baby. And by nap, I mean it's a new day, new me, and I have coffee. I think playing a puzzle game for the majority of a day is not great for my patience. But I'm back in a state of I'm more receptive to some digging around and figuring out what's going on. So this is where our evidence still lies. On page 2, there is something that we have not yet discovered, and it could be something to do with Robin, potentially. It could be something to do with Patricia, potentially. It could be something completely unrelated, like finding this unpublished book, which I would love to find, because I feel like that's probably got a lot of info in it. There's also something in here that we have not yet found, but we have 2 new publications or periodicals, Telephoto and Piketty. So I was trying to think about making a list of potential searches here. So we already have done a lot of them, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember all the ones that I already have done. So I figured we're just gonna start with periodical. I don't know. We'll just do searches again. So I guess we're gonna start from the bottom. We did do 6 pieces. I remember that. I think I did Roottrees Rift. Roottreemania, I think I also did. Elias Roottrees, I don't think I did. Zach Morden, I think I did. I remember doing the LaRue sisters. Thomas Overwood was the conspiracy theorist. I mean, shit, we could do something like that, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't know if I want to even pursue this up and down the list kind of shit. I feel like I should be focusing on I wish I knew about Piketty's publication date. I guess I can search Piketty magazine again. Let's copy this too. Piketty magazine is a publication that, as far as you can tell, has no consistent theme. Does it tell me when it started? Can I search Beanie Babies? No. Magic Eye Images and Red Bull. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't tell me the publication date. The reason why I bring that up is because I don't know how relevant it is to search Elias Roottrees at this point. So we really should be focusing, I guess, on what we know about Susan And what we know about Susan is that she worked for, or works currently for, the school for the deaf. We actually have quite thorough notes on her. The Grandorf Dove. I doubt that this is like saucy enough for a publication like this, but we might as well try it. Nothing. What about telephoto? What about just Grandorf Dove? Nope. What about Chris Rafferty? No, because he's into photography, right? And art. Did I spell his name right? Raffferty. Yeah, I did. Doubt he's in there. What about Beatrice Watts? What about boop boop boop. Hudson Wing, maybe? Nope. Nothing. I mean, all right, let's look at Anonicon. All right, that was the other word that they used. Anonymom. Oh, Anonymom? Did I not spell this right? Oh, I'm in telephoto. I'm stupid. Okay. Anonymom, the Anonicon. I think that this is just the headline. It doesn't matter. Courtney May. Karine S., who we think is the secretary that was fired at the same time that she was. Because if we cross-reference our evidence here, and we pull up these records, we can see that secretaries Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired at the same time in 1978, which is right when Guy Hudson took over, and after Christine Garland no longer was working there, presumably replacing her as Guy Hudson's secretary, potentially. This is kind of my like conspiracy theory right now, but we don't know anything about these two. Oh, interesting. Corinne Schwartz comes up in a few articles from local news stations in Pennsylvania. Some of the people attempting to track down Anonymom were harassing her. She recently had to take a leave of absence because people showed up at a car dealership where she works. She's begging people to stop the accusations so that she can get back to a normal life. In every article you find, the journalists involved have independently verified that she's not Anonymom. Right. But she is associated with Beatrice Watts. We don't find anything about her. What about Schwartz? Nothing about Beatrice Schwartz. We could also use her name and look up articles in, say, everywhere else. Here we go. Corinne Schwartz resides in Pennsylvania, though it appears she lives beyond the Butler County limits. After she was named in a national tabloid, people have come to her place of work and accused her of being an Anonymom. The article explains that it's impossible for her to be an Anonymom because her only child is still in middle school. Unless her son's gestation period was approximately 10 years, it doesn't appear like Green could have been involved in any of the potential affairs on your tree. All right, so it's a dead end. Her association with Beatrice is just sensationalism. And they happen to work together at the same time, which that's fine. But what about Courtney May? Courtney May, what was her last name? Watts. Watts with a S, right? Yes. Courtney May Watts. Courtney May has a simple website with black text on a white background and a few images. From the view counter, you can tell you're one of only a few hundred people who has visited it. She's not shy about claiming she's Jane Doe Roottrees. As proof, she has posted an unobscured cover from the time she was featured on Newstime, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be a wedding photo. The website seems to be created in defense of her mother, who has been the target of public scrutiny. Under the headline, The True Story of Jane Doe Roottrees, courtesy of Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts. We'll go here. This doesn't matter anymore, really. Courtney May Watts. I don't know why I said Schwartz. Yeah, I just confused myself. Let's change this. May have been a manager at a department store in North Carolina. Her daughter name was Watts. Anonymom is almost certainly Beatrice Watts. Courtney May Watts, formerly, or Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts, claims that her mother's story is still accurate, which I agree. My mom approached the Roottrees before 5Ps was ever on the cover of Newstime. Nobody at the Roottrees company took us seriously. They only listened to us after we appeared on TV and in magazines. The site has a scanned letter from the Ruby Legal Group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of exploiting their name and orders her to leave the Roottrees alone. It's dated from a few weeks before the 5Ps article appears in Newstime, and it seems legitimate. Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell our story? Mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying because her story was just like 5Ps, but my mom's story was first. Mom was advised by Ryan and Cork. I'm assuming Ryan and Cork is their lawyer. Ryan and Cork is likely the law firm they used to press these claims. To tell Newstime that seeing 5Ps on the cover was what inspired her to go public. But that's the only way Newstime would agree to it and help her to get on TV, but it's not true. Our story was first. Courtney's defense continues, but much of it seems repetitive and useless. Towards the end of her page, she discusses the DNA test and defends her mother's character. My mom is amazing. She's the nicest woman in the world. She's diabetes and works at a department store, but still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so I could stay with my high school sweetheart. I got a degree in nursing. Okay. She is a nurse. So I learned about DNA in college, and I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. My mom is 100% confident there's nobody else who could be the father. Either they did the test wrong or DNA is complete BS. She's not a liar. I believe you. I genuinely believe this. And I'm pretty sure that there was some deliberate fudging of the results. This is the original unobscured cover photo from the Newstime feature on Jane Doe Roottrees and her anonymous mother. You found it in Courtney May Watts' website. Just married. Courtney May and Danny together forever. Okay. Courtney May. She married Danny Newton. Okay. Courtney May Watts posted this photo on her website to prove her identity. It appears to be a wedding photo of hers. The issue is that I don't know where that belongs. Yeah. My guess is that it has to be this top secret portion. And while this is great, I'm so happy that I have three new people. Alas, I have nowhere to put them, I don't think. Also, I think I mentioned in a previous video that this person divorced. That is not true. It appears that they passed away and then remarried. And they had 3 children in total. So yeah. And we still don't really have anything here. All right. Very cool. I am glad that we have figured out what appears to be the Anonymom angle. And it also has removed notable events. So Anonymom was the final piece here, and we figured that one out. Now, all we have left... Telephoto is just because we haven't locked in this information here. Lisa Clementine and Mary Clementine. We have the page 2 in Picotee and the 2 pieces of information in here, which actually is interesting because Beatrice Watts no longer seems to be part of this. So none of these names are going to be related to Susan Ford's children, I don't think. Because it's likely that she doesn't have children until 1982. So I don't think that's what it's related to. There's got to be something else that I'm just not seeing. And I don't think it's going to be here. It's got to be names. So we have office staff Terry O'Connor. It could just be that Susan Ford is the character of interest here, although we've already identified her. So it's probable that it isn't actually her. So maybe it is just going to be the fact that Beatrice Watts is on here. We haven't locked that in. But who else could I possibly look up? It could be that one of these people is related to this side. Is there somebody whose last name changed twice? That could be something that we look at. But if that's the case, I would imagine that they would be identified in a separate place. But I see that Linda Lewis and Lisa Lewis. Like, Linda Lewis is the sister of some... Like, are these 2 sisters? Linda Lewis? We could look her up. I think we did do this once. Yeah. Didn't expect something from this, but doesn't hurt to search, just because these are 2 names that have at least a degree of similarity, and they could be sisters here. So we gotta go back. We gotta go back here. We gotta keep thinking about Susan Ford. What do we know? Let's go back to this. I think the big thing here is Susie. We can use Susie's name somehow, because this is like the only place that she's referred to as Susie. And maybe that's what makes it unique here. Susie Jones. Probably not going to be anywhere else. And I doubt that this is going to result in any sort of spider search. What else could this be? So we've talked a bit about the fact that I think we've ended Roottrees Brazil. We do have Robin, but I don't think Robin is going to be relevant any longer. Patricia, we haven't been able to find anything about. But there's got to be something in here. Mid 1981, months after I'd already moved on, he called me back and showed me a final draft. I just don't know what her book is. Had my name on it in big, shiny, embossed letters. If we knew what her book title was, we'd be able to look it up, but it's an unpublished book, as far as I know. And they're ascribing it to her, but we don't know what the name of the book is. Maybe there's something that we know about Guy that we can, like, make an assumption. Like, did he have a statement that he really liked saying that we could base this off of? All of this is, like, old information at this point. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to find anything here. So, Rick. It had half the page count and the narrative 20 bricks. No date. No thanks. The dinner was good. Imported steak that likely cost. We all got pretty drunk. Sent his mistress, Susie, something into the bathroom to proposition me. Just too good for him. Died soon after. Yeah, I just don't think that this is the angle. What about Susie Hughes? Nope. Let me look at this again. New job. Thomas Hughes. Grandorf. She's a principal. She's part of the Roottrees Everywhere campaign. I mean... what could we do? I'm under the impression that her children are in high school, given the age of Flavio and the general, assumption that as we move around, the children are going to get younger. Because though this is visually represented with positions being, like when you think of the family tree, eldest, youngest. So those that are on a similar plane would be the same age. But this is just because they didn't want to, I guess, like push this over too far and keep it looking neat instead of having it be like a really long row over. So these are the two youngest people in this web. And they're older than a baby, but younger than an 18-year-old. So we have like the evidence in our periodical search about Thomas. Miss Ford. Mm-hmm. Then we have this one. And this is where we learned that Mrs. Hughes was married to him until they were divorced. According to the reporter's investigation into the police report's trials and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. And so she was pregnant in 1982. And I'm guessing that she was pregnant with twins. But we don't have anything to follow up on that, which is a problem. And Thomas Hughes doesn't produce any results, I'm pretty sure. Because we've already looked him up in, like, literally everything. Business Watch, like, all of these are going to be nothing. I don't know if we did news time for... What would we call it? I guess the Grandorf Dove. Nope. We did do this one, I know, because this is literally what we just read. Yeah, they all avoided further appearances in this. Maybe the Hudson Wing. Business Watch. Doubt we're gonna find anything, truly. Susan Hughes. Susie Hughes. Yeah, this isn't gonna lead me anywhere, I'm almost certain. I feel like it's got to be Susie, right? Maybe we should just search her mononym. Yeah, it's not going to produce any results. But I do think that, like, Susie's got to be something. And I don't think we know of any other... Like, if we look up SU... It's just Susan. So there isn't a Susie. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that we could just derive from this, you know? Like, looking at these doesn't really help, man. So I doubt that's going to be... the angle that we go. Okay, so another angle that we have is that she has this tattoo, right? She has this tattoo. Is there any way that we could learn something from that? It's an orange and green tattoo. But this picture is from before... Well, he started wearing the green suits. Was he wearing a green suit in the Christmas party picture? No. She's still got her tattoo. She also has another flower lapel. Could she have named her 2 children after those flowers? All right. Flowers. Let me look at this again. Category flower with an outline around the edges of its petals. Right. So she has this as a tattoo, essentially. Is there a type of flower that I could think of? Like, would she name her children after 2 different kinds of flowers? Even if they, you know, were named after these flowers, it would not really help. We definitely know that this has nothing to do with Beatrice and her daughter. There's gotta be something that I've just missed, man. And it's gotta be these 2 things. It's gotta be between these 2 pieces of evidence. Emily Seinfeld is no longer employed, but Emily Barnes is. Is there anything that indicates that Emily was married before and then changed her name again. Emily Seinfeld was hired now. And then she changed her name here. Emily Barnes. Let's just look up Emily Barnes and Emily Seinfeld. Oh, Seinfeld. Oops. I'm so bad at clicking. I'm so bad at clicking. Emily Barnes. Gwyneth Madsen is not part of this chapter. We could do Angela Ingram. I am just going to search every fucking name in this. We search Corianne. Terry O'Connor. Susan Ford, we already seen. David Rosenberg. Don't think this is going to be relevant. Edward Morrison. Robert Andrews. Product management, probably not going to be relevant. They were not. We already know about them. Linda Lewis, we looked up. I don't know if we looked up Valerie Ewing. Catherine Garrett. William Sands, I'm sure it doesn't matter. Yeah. So these names, if I were to find something about them, would have to be in a different publication. Have we looked up Susan in the telephoto? I think we've done everything up and down the list with her, but we'll do it one more fucking time. Maybe we'll do Susie Ford. I mean, are we at this point where now I need to search every single name like this? What's in this list? If that's the case, then all right, here we go. Let's look up every fucking name in here. It just seems more likely that it's these two, man. Like Beatrice Watts is probably one of the two. And then there's another name in here that matters. And it's not Susan Ford because she's locked in. Which concerns me. It can't be her children. So I feel that see, I'm circling back to this again. I don't think that this evidence relates to Susan Ford's children. The only piece of evidence that seems to connect to Susan is this one. I remember her from our trips overseas. Maybe there is a reference to her. Maybe I need to be looking up. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm grasping at straws. I'd rather use a hint. They're gonna... Okay, so they're just... Okay, I didn't search Lisa Clementine. That's fine. That's fine. This is like kind of oh, okay. Well, I genuinely don't care about this. I'm not gonna. We're gonna figure this out, I guess, and move on. Val Lincoln was featured in Telephoto. The cover, which featured one of his photos, was already added into our evidence. What's her last name now? Lisa Lincoln. Okay. Lisa Lincoln is, according to a military website, you find an amputee who lost a limb in a desert storm. She runs a support group for fellow veterans in Beacon, New York. She makes another appearance listed as a professor at West Point Military College. She teaches classes that contribute to their environmental engineering major. Her short biography on the staff page mentions that she had a passion for the military from a very young age due to erroneously believing that her family member was an Air Force pilot. While she later learned that to be untrue, her passion remained, and she joined the ROTC in high school. From there, she enlisted. All right, so she's a professor. Cool. Probably get a new hint now. Thank you. More recent news about Grandorf Dove. Oops. Grandorf School for the Deaf. Okay. That's fair. Grandorf School for the Deaf has made a few odd appearances here and there in Butler County Times since 1990. It's not too many that you can't look at all of them, and so after scrolling through a few pages, you manage to find something incredibly useful in an article that isn't even focused on the school itself. Local students provide key evidence in scientific study. The article from March of this year mentions that Ford sisters, who attended public school in Butler County, are one of only a handful of identical twins. Yeah, we figured that they were twins in the world who suffer from two different genetic issues. One of them has asthma and the other has a deadly allergy to peanuts. Their mother, a Miss Susie Ford, who is a principal near the nearby Grandorf... Oh, okay, so it's Susie. Nearby Grandorf School for the Deaf was originally contacted by researchers looking to identify if there were any sets of twins where one was born deaf and the other was not. Well, she didn't have any twins attending her school. She asked if her daughters, Melissa and Heather, okay, Melissa and Heather. Let's go to Susan. I feel like I should have done this. Let me check. Is it? No, I just didn't ever search the brand new name. That makes me feel stupid. But that's okay. That's okay. Melissa and Heather are her twin daughters. Youngest, we all call her that. Only that it's been about 15 minutes is shy and essentially isn't separating from the moment she learned to scamper. Asma has kept her sister off the soccer field, but she's the definition of extrovert and is even performing in local production Is There Life After High School later this year. Pictures of the girls. Okay, so peanut allergy and asthma. And we have enough evidence to pick them, right? Oh, so the youngest is the one, we just don't know which one is younger. Sure. Okay. Is shy but essentially hasn't separating from the moment she learned to scamper. So this one and this one. And their last name is Jones. Wait, Jones. And then we can just search, Is There Life After High School? It's a musical. It's quite obscure, only appearing on Broadway for 17 performances after a period review. Nowadays, it's mostly performed by smaller theater troupes, including high school drama clubs. If you couldn't tell by now, the game designer by the name of Jeremy Johnston was in a musical theater for all 4 years of high school. There's one song from it that takes that has somewhat surpassed the popularity of the rest of the musical called The Kid Inside. If you'd like to listen to it, I recommend Barry Manilow's version. If you've heard this song before, it's likely that cover. The entire musical deals entirely with traumas and nostalgia that society collectively shares. Was local. Okay. Cast list mentions including a Heather Ford. Okay. Thank you. So Heather is the one that has asthma. And Melissa. Okay. And now we have locked in everything that we could. I guess I don't know how Pico Tea helped with this. Just that it was Susie? I don't understand. Now we're back to not having fucking dick. Oh, man. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? I need to lock in one more person, and then this will probably be a lot easier. So, my guess is that Beth, the secretary, is somehow related. The problem is there is no evidence that you would put here, right? If Beth Knox was relevant. So maybe that's not true. Who is the other person that had, like, Fred Gleason? Is this guy anybody? No. Bess Williams and Elias Roottrees. We just don't have shit about this whole conundrum unless somehow Beatrice is connected. But I don't believe that she is. Because I think that this is where she'll end up being. This seems very deliberate, too, that we've gathered no information on this side of the family whatsoever. It's so hard to figure out what to even think of searching, because we're out of evidence. The only thing that we have left, it's right here, is that there's someone in here, potentially, related to this half of the board. If I had to guess, it's this individual. And then they have two, like, wedding pictures. Well, not wedding pictures, but, like, pictures of their partners. What was Anonymom's daughter's name? Just save and delete this. Ryan and Cork. We didn't look them up. Danny Newton. Ryan and Cork is an unremarkable law firm based in North Carolina, named after its senior partners, Winston Ryan and Gregory Cork. The firm mostly handles local cases and recently represented Anonymom. Their website has a section about the case, including a scan of the DNA test results that proved Jane Doe Rootree was not a Rootree. DNA Techo. We should just read this. This is a DNA test you got from the website for the law firm Ryan and Cork. The test says that there was virtually no chance that Anonymom's daughter, Courtney May, was a Rootree. It lists that DNA from a Jane Doe was tested against the DNA of Bonnie Kellogny Hudson, Guy's twin sister. Oh. That makes sense. They're not identical twins, though. They're just twins. I don't know how that works. Let's look up DNA Techo. DNA Techo. Dinatico. My bad. Is a DNA testing company. DNA testing is a relatively new phenomena that allows scientific laboratories to prove a possible family relationship between two people. It's fairly cutting edge. The method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade, as early as the 1990s. Sorry, I'm thinking. Could it have always been that Angelica or Gwendolyn Rootree is the illegitimate daughter of Gwyneth and Elias, and that's how the red hair gets introduced? Although, she has red hair, right? So it's just a recessive gene. Yeah, never mind. But Bonnie's... Anyway, sorry, let's keep reading. Blah, 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 blah. According to their site, Dinatico was responsible for the DNA test that proved Felix Fellows was a Rootree, and even use it as an example of how DNA tests looks. They use it to provide some information about their process. Whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID, which is why it says David instead of Felix. Because Guy Hudson is dead and there's no known DNA source for Guy, they tested Felix's hair versus a sample sent from the Roottrees. It's listed as Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person. But the Rootree company let them know it was from Bonnie Kellogg, Guy Hudson's sister. That's why it says it's a paternal aunt test. The left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question and nobody else. The way the test works is that if certain parts of the signature are shared, then it's very likely the two people are related. As far as you can tell, Dinatico is a legitimate company. They don't seem to have any reason to create fake results or hide the truth. Adrian Rowland. Jane Doe versus Bonnie Kellogg. And there is like a significant difference. The DNA from the alleged relative was compared to the tested child. Based on the results, the probability of relatedness is 0.5%. The likelihood the candidates are related is approximately 2,000 to 1. Okay. Combined relatedness index is 99%. This is Jane Doe versus David Fellows. What's interesting is that Jane Doe is listed here. And Bonnie is listed here, but there's no evidence any longer that matters, apparently. I've found everything that's related to this. Well, shit. It doesn't seem likely that this is her. Because she is not remarried. But we have 2 pictures of her, which means of them, the only one that would be like possible is this one, right? Because it's this portrait and then this portrait. But we have her husband. So clearly she's just not on the fucking table yet. Okay, what else could we try and search? It's got to be somebody's name in here. It's probable that Beatrice Watts is one of the 2 clues here. Although it is interesting. Maybe that's not true. Because, well, no. Because this evidence also, once we had clicked their portraits, they didn't have the magnifying glass either. So there's no reason to not assume one of the pieces of information in this is just the fact that Beatrice Watts' name is in here. But there's another piece of information that's relevant. Let me see. To specific pieces of evidence, the more there is to find. People or phrases it mentions. We have a lot of people who are mentioned in this. Gwyneth Madsen, Gwyneth Cattrall. Gwyneth Cattrall. Where is she? This is Gwyneth Cattrall. She's part of the farm staff, and I remember that. And she's being replaced. Yeah, in farm and manufacturing, she just gets married at this point. So don't think that this is related. What can we try and figure out about this? Bess Williams died young and had a baby before she died. Could this be Ruby? Because this is what confuses me. I don't understand what happens here. So John Doe gets divorced from this individual who we need to have 2 pictures of. And they had a child, and I guess she dies. And then her mother and father adopt the child. Into the family, or she gets disowned, or whatever. And then she gets married once. This person dies or disappears, probably dies, if I had to guess. And then she remarries a second time, or they remarry, could be anyone. And then they have another child. So, do we know anybody who was part of the foster care system? The big one is Ruby. Ruby was part of the foster care system. We learned that Ruby... If we go to our notes about Ruby... Let's get rid of some of this unimportant info. Like, this no longer is important. This never went anywhere, which frustrates me. Ruby Spratt attended Mid-Eastern University. She also was in the foster care system in Portland. She was valedictorian. We looked up information about her project, which is the fountain. So if we... I feel like this is the most Ruby Spratt. Ruby Spratt graduated top of her class from Mid-Eastern's Legal College, which means that she was either married or did not take... Like, if this is her... Did she graduate after getting married here at this point? Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mid-Eastern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with the perfect GPA. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial, with a focus on wealth inequality. And then if we do the Portland Telegraph, when she was in high school, she was also valedictorian. I feel like this has to be something. At the time of the article, was earning her gold award. Because why would this be emphasized, right? If not because it's relevant. There's something that we can find out about the gold award. Ruby was earning her gold award when she was a teenager. There's also probably something that we can do about the Fountain of Youth versus the Foster Fountain. Because those two names are... Like, obviously we've fallen into that trap before. Where one name produces different results than the other. Do we have something in telephoto? We're just going to go up the list for my comfort. We've already done that. Nothing in there. Is there... Let me look at all of our names. Robin? No. Rochelle? No. Just Ruby. There's nothing else. The game does really like to do like associated. Is there another like gemstone name? Judy and Ruby. There's not. Okay. So we're just gonna keep going up. Don't think there's anything here. We've already seen this. Maybe we could do Ruby Legal Enterprises for telephoto. All right, let's keep going up. Oops. We already know that this is going to pull something up. We don't have dates, which I think is purposefully obfuscated. God damn it. Sometime in late March, after the rift. She have to work for very little money, so long as she could be the public face. See, if she's the public face, we should have pictures of her. Why is it that we haven't been able to find a fucking picture of her? You ever wondered that? I wonder if she's like trying to manipulate the Clancid Trust because she was adopted. Yeah. What about the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship in any of these? Because why would this be relevant? Why would they make this an important thing? We've searched this, and this is the only thing that it shows. It just connects it to the Ruby Legal Enterprises. Head lawyer Ruby Spratt. Can't find much. Multiple ties, including Root. We saw the high profile thing. Root already has this. We have the scholarship that connects it. It's part of Ruby Legal Enterprises, and it just kind of goes in a circle. I want to find out about the Gold Award. What is the Gold Award? Let's look up the fountain. Could it be that I spelled this wrong? And that's why it's fucked up? The Foster Fountain. The Fountain of Youths. Also known as Foster Fountain, is a fountain in a small park in Portland. Portland's Parks and Recreation mentions under a trivia section, the Fountain of Youths was conceived by Ruby Spratt. So she did not marry, or she kept her legal name. It's more businesses signed on, even Spratt's original hopes. 100 businesses, so a penny becomes $1. There's got to be something that we can figure out from this, or the Golden Award, you know? Oh. As well as a ribbon cutting from the people most instrumental in bringing the fountain into fruition. Okay. Is there anything that I can do? Oh, to connect these two, man. Like, to find out where this performance was. And see if there's, like, pictures of it or something. There were poets, musicians, and dancers. Are they trying to imply that fucking November is part of this? Don't think so. Maybe you can find this in Business Monthly or Business Watch. No. No, nothing about him. Oh, I spelled his name wrong anyway. Maybe there's something about him. Nope. Doubt this is going to be anything related to the two. There's got to be an angle with Ruby here. Because that's the only lead that I have. Like, literally the only lead. Girl Scouts of America. It's this one, right? No. Not this one. It's... No, not that one. This one. Local team making change for foster care system. Earning her gold award. This has to be something, man. But everything seems to lead to a dead end again. We still have 2 pieces of evidence that are in this folder. And it could be that we have to just search these names. Terry O'Connor. I doubt it's Douglas. I doubt it's Edward Morrison and Robert Andrews. But I guess I have to search them, right? No longer employed? Probably not. Probably, maybe it is Robert Andrews then, because he gets hired. We'll do Edward Morris too. Corian Schwartz and Beatrice Watts we've followed through on. I think we've already done her before, but I'm just doing everybody's fucking name, man. Probably not these two because their names are mentioned previous to this. Probably, I mean, we can do Emily Barnes then. And Gwyneth Cattrall. I guess we'll also do. All right. So we've got a bunch of names to search, but that's going to start the episode we do next. So episode 11, because I'm going to contain all of these in that episode. Everything else in here, I don't know what I'm supposed to look up because we've already done Grandorf Dove. Oh, fuck. Do you think that's what it is? I didn't think about that. Surely not. Yeah, we're back to having to get a new hint if we were to look. I'm being a little meta here. We got a lot of names. I don't like doing this. This does not feel like it says at the very start of this. You're not sure how helpful it will be. Spider searching people just because they're listed in these books will likely be very time consuming and a waste of your time, which is what I imagine is going to happen. But I don't know what else to do aside from doing this, because that's all I have. It's the only thing that I have to work off of. Unless I've somehow missed something in one of the many like searches that I could have done. But I don't know. We'll think about it a little bit. Thanks so very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next. Goodbye.